the day that we were going to leave, we ran into this kid that had gotten us his parents to build these white shirts and pants and stuff like that. And so Bill decides he wants to get a blue pair. And you'll see in the pictures he's wearing, you know, from there up to Europe, he's wearing these blue, kind of like pajamas, but they're not really. They're just what people wear over there. But he wanted them in blue instead of white. And so we kind of trusted the kid and said, well, you know where our room's at, where we're staying, but we need you to have those here, like, delivered at 5 o'clock. Let's say it's maybe 11 o'clock or something in the morning, and we need these blue things delivered to our room by 5 o'clock, because we got to leave for the train station, which still in our minds were like out there, and, you know, we were gonna either walk or take a rickshaw, and we figured it could take a couple hours just to get from our hotel to the train station, because you're talking traffic like you can't imagine, and at 8 o'clock at night it's dark. And so, you know, 5 o'clock comes and the kid doesn't show up, and so finally about 6 o'clock he finally shows up. And he's got them. And so we pay him, and we didn't have any Indian money. And so I had this coin collection of Indian money, and so I even took those coins out of the Indian money, you know, to pay this kid. And so it's like, okay, well now we're going to need to take a cab to the railway station, because we don't know exactly where it's at, and the other thing is we're kind of running out of time. And so we take a cab and get to the train station. It's running kind of late. Everything's slow, you know. I mean, everything's slow. And so we kind of get there, and we had to pay the cab guy with the last couple rupees we had. So my point is, we got on the train, and we're kind of back to, we don't have any Indian money with us again. We just have traveler's checks. So we're kind of running, you know, you got to get there and find what track you're on the trains, and there's like 6 or 7 or 8 of them, you know. The trains are a big deal overseas. And so, kind of like airports here, I guess, but not as organized. And so we find the train that's going to New Delhi. We get on the train, you know, kind of just in time. I mean, I'm thinking like we're getting there at 10 to 8 or something like that, 5 till 8, and it's leaving at 8. Generally, trains run on time. You know, so we kind of barely get on. And we get in this place where the seats are kind of, there's 2 seats here to sit on, you know, 3 or 4 people can sit facing each other, and there's seats up here that fold down that you can sleep at night. Keep in mind, we're going to be like 3 days and 2 nights on this train getting to New Delhi. And so the next morning, they come around and they want to know if you want breakfast and stuff. Yeah, okay, fine. So I order this breakfast, and then I got no way to pay for it, because they don't take traveler's checks. So we did have a jug that we filled with water at one place, but we really didn't eat anything that entire time. We drank some water, but we basically went without food for about 3 days. Out in the country, you'd see the train would go by these villages that just were, I mean, you'd think you were in Jerusalem in Jesus' time. All the buildings were just mud, brick, and straw. No electricity anywhere. you know, each town would have this real expensive mosque, you know, but the rest of the community, you know, they'd be carrying bales of hay on their, or not bales like we know of, but just big piles of hay on their head, the women, and all this kind of stuff. And so we end up getting to New Delhi, and at night, it seems like, about then we're like, it seems like when you're traveling, you're always getting into these places at night, like the middle of the night. And so we get a trickshaw. A motorized one. We get one from a guy, and we don't think it's going to be very much or anything, but we have him take us to the YMCA and in New Delhi, India. And so it's like a 2-cycle gas engine, a lot of smoke coming out. They're honking the horn when they're going down the road all the time. It's just traffic's like, you know, a nightmare in a movie. Although the traffic wasn't that bad, again, it was past midnight, probably 1 o'clock in the morning. We get there. So the fare was about 70 pace more than we had, and so we ended up telling the guy that we'll stay at the YMCA and we'll get some money tomorrow, and we come back and we'll pay you. And it sounds like a scam, but it wasn't. And he didn't really have any choice. We just didn't have any money with us. So we go to the YMCA, and they want like $7 or $8 a night to stay there. And of course, that was real high price for India. And so, same thing, you get in line just to check in. It just seems like these places never go to sleep, and there's people everywhere. And so the guy at the desk says, he goes, well, I don't know where you're going to end up staying tonight, but don't mess with those guys outside the front door, because they'll rip you off. So we end up going outside, and end up talking to one of these guys in one of these trickshaws, but again, it was a motorized 3-wheel cart. So he goes, well, I know a place to stay, and there's a whole world of people living there. They're just making their living off of tourists, and of course you stick out like a sore thumb, so the second you hit the ground anywhere, there's some kid or somebody coming up to you and going, oh, sir, and they want to, oh, come this way, and I'll get you, oh, need a place to stay, and stuff like that. And we found, for the most part, being an English colony at one time, anybody under 30 spoke, pretty good English. So the language thing wasn't too bad. So we end up getting in this cart, and we go, and he takes us someplace down the street. I've got a picture right outside this place, and there's the street, and this burro, this donkey or cow, probably a holy cow, is just standing right there. But everything's filthy, dirty. So this hotel that we were going to was actually pretty nice. It was like concrete, and it had concrete stairs in it. It was about 3 stories. And they, I don't think it was very much money, maybe 4 or 5 rupees. I think for 2 more rupees, they'd bring you breakfast the next day, which we went ahead and did. Remember, we haven't had anything to eat in 3 days. And so I was kind of down in the office, and I'm walking up these stairs to the room, and water starts coming down these stairs like a flood. And so I get up to the third floor and I open the door and it's like there's water about 2 inches, thick all over this whole third floor. And it was running into the rooms and the floor was all concrete, so there was no carpet. And I'm like, wow, what's going on here? And as I get closer to our room, it's getting deeper and deeper. And I walk in, and the bathroom, which was, really first class for India, was in the room. And so I come back in the room, and there's a floor drain in the middle of the room, and there's a shower over here, and the whole bathroom was kind of a shower. And so Bill was so tired, he wasn't noticing that when he took his clothes off, he dropped them on the floor drain. He started taking a shower. And so when that water had flooded our entire room and gone down the hall, and there was rooms, like 4 or 5 rooms on each side, all the way down this hall, and was starting to go down the stairs when I came up the stairs. So I pulled his clothes off the drain, and, it was kind of like, a bunch of stuff, and so, I don't know, 5, 6 guys showed up with squeegees. It was some kind of an emergency crew or something. And they got that pretty cleaned up. It didn't cause any damage that we know of. And so that was amazing. And man, we slept in a bed. I mean, they had an actual mattress, like an American mattress. And we slept for a long time because we were tired. We probably didn't even get up till afternoon the next day. And we had breakfast, we ate. And so we kind of got up the next day and, we kind of ran into this guy that was going to be our tour guide. And so we were saying, well, this is a really nice motel and everything, but we can't really afford to stay here, so we're looking for something a little cheaper. And so he ended up knowing, they know all the stuff down in New Delhi. And there's a New Delhi and an Old Delhi, and talk about that later. But so we. I think we might have actually gone to Old Delhi first. And we got a room, and I had taken my pictures I had 2 rolls of pictures, and back then, that's film, and the camera. And they were slides. When you develop them, they make slides so you could project them up on a wall. And there was 36 in a roll, and I had 2 rolls that I had taken, kind of leaving Singapore, all the way through Calcutta that week there, and about half the train ride, I had shot up about 72 slides. We had those developed. We got to look at them, like that. And then somebody stole them out of our room. I don't know why, but I don't know what importance they were to them. So we've got a real gap in the picture taking from about Singapore, last half of Singapore, all the Calcutta stuff, and about half this train ride to New Delhi is gone. So we told the guy, well, we want to find a cheaper place or something. And so he knows everybody. So he found us this room. So Bill and I got this room, and we probably stayed there about a week. And so in that process, we had gone back to the YMCA, and there was a bus out there. Kind of a green old beat up bus. And it said something like, I don't know, London, 100 bucks, 125 bucks, I think 100 bucks. I think it was 100 bucks. And so we went in and checked, and we ended up talking to the driver or whatever, and it's like, in about 10 days, they were gonna leave for London on this bus for 100 bucks. So, we plopped down 100 bucks, got our place on the bus. In the meantime, we're trying to hang out for about a week, and we had some stuff to do. So anyway, we got in this room, and there was 3 beds in this room. And so Bill and I had 2, and so part of the time we were there, there was some girl there from England, and she was staying there. And then she left, and another guy came in from Nepal, and he stayed in there for a couple of days. I think she ended up on the bus that we went and traveled with. And so in the meantime, while we were in New Delhi, we had to go get our passport, our visas for Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran. So you had to have those before you show up at the border. And then in Turkey, the guy says, well, we can get those when we get to the border, and the rest of them up through Europe. And so we'll just do that. We'll get everybody's passport on the bus. So we went around to the different embassies. Of course, you got, you kind of got this tour guide kid, and he's helping you out. And I don't know what we're paying him, 5-6 rupees a day or something each, maybe, and maybe $1 a day. And so then we got, they didn't have information out like they do now. I mean, back then, if you wanted information, you had to go to an encyclopedia, and if you didn't own one, you didn't have any information. So anyway, we found out that, hey, the Taj Mahal is in Agra, and it's not that far away, and so why don't we go down, and we found out it was about maybe an hour and a half train ride from New Delhi to Agra, and we could spend the day looking at the Taj Mahal and come back, make a day trip out of it. So, lo and behold, now we're experienced travelers. We knew not to go to the train station to buy a ticket. We went to the place downtown. See, so after you do this a second time, you learn some stuff. And so, we bought it for like the next day. And so we got on this train. I think it's called the Taj Express or something. Pretty nice, train. And so it went down to Agra, which is where the Taj Mahal is. Same thing, you get off the train and the kind of train station there, and it wasn't real big. It was like 1 or 2 tracks, and then you just step off of that onto this concrete thing with that roof, like most trains. It looks like more of a train stop than a station. And so, I don't know what they said, like, we'll be going back at 5 o'clock or something like that. So, of course, there's a couple guys that had rickshaws, the pedal rickshaws. And so, they want you to hire them for the day to take you to the Taj Mahal and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay, So they kind of gave us a tour of the town, and we're going down these streets, and there's, a little bunch of laundry laying out here. It's all white and, drying in the sun. And so instead of taking us to the gate, the kind of the opening that goes right into the Taj Mahal, they took us around to the original gate, which a lot of people didn't do that. And so there was actually an old gate. It wasn't real big. It was like maybe 15 feet high, 10 feet across, iron doors, that kind of thing, arched and all brick and rock and stuff. And that was kind of the original entry gate to this courtyard that went to another building, and then through that building was the Taj Mahal. And so the Taj Mahal was just this amazing, can't really describe it. I guess it took a long time to build, like, I don't know, 100 years or something, or you'd have to check into the history of it, but it was, this guy built it as a tomb for his wife, or one of his wives, and it had the 4 minarets, and you get up into the detail, and it's like all this marble is hand carved with flowers and detail. It's just amazing. And so we kind of walked around there, spent the day there, and so one of the funny things that happened was this kid came up with these little wire things, and I don't even know if I have them anymore, but they were very unique, and I didn't have any money on me to buy them, so I ended up trading him my windbreaker, which was probably, worth, these things were probably worth $1, if that, maybe 2 for $1, and I ended up trading him about a $15 windbreaker for him. But I thought they were cool, and I don't even know if I've got them anymore, but so that's kind of interesting. I haven't been real big on keeping stuff, and I never have been in my life. Like, I bought a lot of the stuff I bought on the trip. I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I just eventually got rid of it. I guess I got tired of packing it around, which now that I'm older, you'd like to have that and pass it on, but, it is what it is. So we get back from Agra on the train, and we got our visas, and so the day came where we were going to, leave on this bus from New Delhi. And something happened. I don't know what happened, but the bus wasn't going to leave until the next day. And so the bus driver the company bought everybody a room in the YMCA that night. And that came with like dinner and breakfast and hot showers. I mean, we were living high on the hog. So we got a hot shower, so that was like great. So we get on the bus, and most of this trip I was sitting by myself with Bill's guitar next to me. And he was sitting with this gal that was in that room from England. She was probably going back home. So they were kind of friends, and kind of, and so there was all kinds of people on this bus, and so we went up to Peshawar, and we went into Lahore, and we stayed in this place that is hard to imagine, but it was like a castle hotel thing, really ritzy. Same thing, dinner at night, breakfast in the morning, a lot of curry. I'm not real keen on curry anymore, but a lot of rice and curry. And people ate so much curry over there, their lips would turn, orange and stuff like that. And some of the stuff they'd eat. And so we were traveling through Pakistan, and at the time, East Pakistan, which they now call Bangladesh, you had West Pakistan, India, and East Pakistan. East Pakistan was kind of having a revolution, and they wanted to break off, and I guess they ended up doing that. But West Pakistan didn't want them to do that, and so they had a lot of military troops on the road, a lot of guns, truckfuls of soldiers, convoys and stuff like that, moving over to where Bangladesh is, probably going to war. And so we got in there and went through the Khyber Pass, which is this real windy, very historic. When you get over into that part of the world, I mean, things aren't even old until they're 1,000 years old. And in the United States, we're only like 250 years old. So, and out here in the West, we're younger than that. So